Hey yo, what is up, my good peoples? It's your boy, Big Chris, aka the Compton Animator, and I am here once again to bring you another dumb as hell video. Now, for today's video, we're gonna be doing my final review for this season's episodes of Marvel's What If. Now, this episode of What If is the season finale, and this one is entitled What If the Watcher Broke His Oath? Now, to get things started off with, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out. This is all gonna be spoilers. Like I say on all my videos, especially my TV episode ones, I don't really know how to review these episodes without spoiling them, so I'm going to spoil them. And for especially for this episode being a season finale, I want to spoil this one because there's so much to talk about. Let's see what else. As far as how I do my reviews, they're usually separated into four parts. We start off with my overall expectations going in, my overall positive feelings, my mixed feelings, and then I end it with a star rating. So, oh Jesus, let's start that off. Oh, let's let's get everything started off with the overall synopsis for this episode. So this is the season finale, the ninth episode of What If, and this one is entitled, like I said, "The Watcher broke his oath." And the synopsis is: the Watcher gathers heroes from across the multiverse for a final battle against Infinity Ultron. Now, I think they said his name was like Ultra-Vision when I last read that, so they may have changed that. But Infinity Ultron, I guess is what they're going with. He's basically Vision and Ultron put together. So let's see the cast here. We for the most part have everybody in this episode. As far as the cast that they get together, um, we have T'Challa back. We have that's what being played by Chadwick Boseman, and we have Peggy Carter being played by Haley Atwell. Who else? Jeffrey Wright being played by the Watcher. There was somebody that I wanted to bring up. Okay, yes, the guy who played Ultron, Ross Marquid, I think his name is. Um, and I think he's playing Vision as well. But he does a really good job here, and I kind of wanted to talk about him because he has a nice in between of what the Ultron is in like the movies and what Vision is in the movies, and he kind of mixes them nicely here. But other than that, we have most of the cast back here, especially a lot of the actors who I think Benedict Cumberbatch is still playing Doctor Strange, and I think Chris Hemsworth, he's still playing Thor, right? Yep, Chris Hemsworth is still playing Thor. So we have a nice little cast here, especially a lot of the movie cast, which I don't think I talked about this. I was surprised about how many of the movie actors came back and reprised their roles for this show, especially it being animated. You don't normally see that a lot, and I was very happy to see that. But the show starts off, and we'll start off with my overall expectations going in. Now, I want to say from coming off of the episode before this one, um, I was very interested to see how are they going to do this penultimate episode. I mean, not the penultimate. How are they going to come off of the penultimate episode, basically the episode before this one, and what they were going to do with things like Ultron and how he was just this crazy villain in the last episode, and everything with the Watcher. Like the Watcher got his ass handed to him in the last episode. And I really wanted to see where they're going to go with that. How are they going to take those things? And also, who are going to be their version of the Avengers, are what they were calling them, the Guardians of the Multiverse in this one. Who is going to be in that cast? And I was very interested to see how are they going to bring all those things together and how are they going to use them. And surprisingly, not surprisingly, actually, happily to say, they had a really good cast of characters in this one. I think that the people who we saw playing in this kind of final battle, which were actually I can go to a better photo of this, right? Yep, which were Peggy Carter, Killmonger, Star Lord, which is Black Panther Star Lord. Let's see, Thor, the evil Doctor Strange, Gamora, and Black Widow. I thought they had a pretty nice cast of people as their Guardians of the Multiverse. I really liked all the characters here, especially like Black Widow, who tell you the truth, the Black Widow in this show is way better than Black Widow as far as Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow. And I enjoy Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow for what she is, but the way they used her in the show, especially in the last two episodes, she was phenomenal. And she had a little bit of humor to her. She had her sassiness, but she was also just overall badass. And she just kind of wasn't a like the Black Widow in the movies is a little bit stale for me at sometimes, which I'm okay with Scarlett Johansson's portrayal of her. But when you see something that you haven't seen before with that same character in that same kind of MCU mode, I like what they're doing here. Like, I kind of damn near want the actress here to play Black Widow for the rest of the anytime they ever bring her back up. Give me this actress. But I like the cast here, man. I like what they were doing with everybody. I like how he went and got everybody for this battle and stuff like that, and just picking them out of timeline. And I was gonna save this for my what do you call it, the my mixed feelings, but it was very interesting to see that the show really wasn't going to do the second season thing of you take all the other episodes and you continue them on to the second season. They, for the most part, finished a lot of the stuff in this show on this last episode. You kind of got to see everybody being picked out and cherry picked from their timelines. You got to see, let me see, yep. You got to see Peggy Carter kind of fighting whatever she was going through, and they was basically copying the what was it? The last man, the Captain America, was it Winter Soldier storyline for her at the beginning, and then they were picking up Killmonger from his episode, which basically is Shuri being going to be ready to attack him. Um, who else? Just everybody from just their different parts. You can watch the episode if you want a full explanation of everything. But I enjoyed the cast here. I also really enjoyed their chemistry. I thought that they had a really good chemistry with each other. There was a lot at the beginning where they didn't have a crazy amount of time, and I'm gonna get to that in my mixed feelings about how I felt about it. But I like how they kind of try to, push the chemistry forward, get the characters kind of mingling and getting together and everything. And I like what they did with all that. Secondly, I really enjoyed Ultron in this episode. Like I was saying earlier, I enjoyed what they were doing here with this character. I didn't even realize that was another language when I selected the image, but I enjoyed what they were doing with this character and how they used him. He, like I said, he has a nice mix of the Vision and Ultron, and he even has a little bit of that kind of goofiness from the movies, but this Ultron is like I remember him being in the comic books, like I remember him being in the animated series and stuff, like the other animated series I saw Ultron. This Ultron is vicious. This Ultron will fuck you up. This Ultron doesn't play around. And he's just about destroying shit. And I also like let's see. Oh yes, here it is. I also like what they were doing with Doctor Strange here. Um, having this be the Doctor Strange that we're using to where like he's a Doctor Strange that has somewhat of a, how can I call this? He's a Doctor Strange that has somewhat of more of an ego. He has somewhat more to prove, but he's also fought and lost things. And they did a really good job of doing that here. And I really enjoyed that with this character. And I also really enjoyed Black Panther here as well. It's kind of sad that this is Chadwick Boseman's last time portraying this role, and I think this is his last role altogether. I'm not sure if he has anything coming up after this, but I enjoyed I enjoyed the cast here altogether. I'm gonna go into the one part of the cast who I didn't enjoy a little bit later on, but yeah, I enjoyed all of that. I thought they did a really good job with all the characters. I thought Ultron was really good here. He was very fun just to watch, and the action scenes with him, like his voice, the guy who plays him, his voice was really good, and just he really gave off a menacing feel. And Doctor Strange really gave off kind of this twisted but heroic type of sense where he has to do this. He has to win here. And that was very good to me. I don't know if I can hear a helicopter in the background, but that was very good to me, and I really enjoyed those aspects of those characters and the way they were telling those stories. Um, I also, man, I enjoyed the action in this episode. They did a really good job with all the action scenes, dude. Like, there were some things here that I was just like, yo, the way they're doing these fight scenes, man, is just insanely dope and just so much fun. There was one image that I wanted to have. Sometimes I hate these programs. There's one image that I wanted to use. I gotta find real quick. Let's see. Anyways, man, I enjoyed a lot of the fight scenes in this episode and a lot of things that they were doing. Like, I enjoyed the fact that they really put together a way of how can this team beat this crazy, powerful Ultron. Now, I saw some replies that were talking about maybe they were talking about that Ultron was kind of depowered in this episode and he wasn't as strong as he was in the last one. But I really do believe the way that they used Doctor Strange here was really nicely set up and really used well. Like, Doctor Strange was the power behind the rest of these Guardians of the Multiverse. And they did a really good job of saying, okay, he's powering up the rest of these guys, whether it's a protection spell or however they want to put it. I took it as he's giving them extra powers. All those creatures that he ate up and stuff like that, all the things that he put into his body over however long it was that he was doing that in his own episode, that gave him this immense power that could probably rival Ultron, but he doesn't have the stone, so he hasn't at that top tier power that Ultron is. He's like right below it. And he needs the help of the other Guardians of the Multiverse in order to help him fight Ultron. And I really enjoyed that with the character. I really enjoyed how they used that and where they were going with those type of things. That was really interesting and fun to me to watch. And like I said, with the action scenes, that was so dope in the way they were using them. They had a bunch of scenes here where like it was just, they were messing Ultron up, but he always seemed to have the next step. He always seemed to be right over them and just do the craziest things. There's also some cinematic scenes that I was like, yo, this is dope. Like, the cinematography in this show is just so much fun, man. The way they shoot things, the way they show them, it's just so much fun to watch. And I really like the way they use colors, the way they use darkness, and the way they use black lines and all that other type of stuff. Like, they do a really good job of using all those things in this show, and I really enjoyed a lot of that. Oh, what else did I enjoy about this? Oh, man, Armin Zola and Killmonger. So, first thing, Armin Zola. If you don't know anything about Armin Zola, he's a character from the comic books. You've seen him in the first Captain America movie, and you've seen him in Captain America: Winter Soldier. He's basically the computer guy that they meet. That used to be the he used to be the guy that was with the Red Skull, and they was in a computer, the face in the computer in Winter Soldier. I really like how they brought back that kind of face in the chest thing that he was, or the stomach thing that he was in the comic books, and they use it in a real interesting way here. Like, they did some stuff in this whole series wise that I was like, this is what I want you to do. This is how I want you to take things that will probably never be used in the movies and bring them to a place like this. Bring them to a animated series that's still in canon and still, use it the right way. And I really enjoyed that. Also, what they did with Killmonger here, to where he was still this villainous character, but he knew that he had to save the universe. He had to save the multiverse, and he had to do what he did. But like, everybody in the cast knew he was gonna kind of uh trick everybody and try to do the bad thing at the end. They were just kind of waiting on it and even alluded to it earlier. But I like how they kind of tried to make you forget about it. Killmonger stayed being his version of Black Panther and stayed being heroic until the time came right for him not to be. And I thought that was done pretty well. I didn't really mind too much of it. Yeah, they could have done more with it and to kind of expunge upon that, but I'll get to that a little bit later. But for what they did, I thought it was fine. And also the ending of how it was just Killmonger and Armanzola, who they both ended up getting pieces of the Ultron armor and kind of sticking it to themselves and trying to fight for the stones. I really enjoyed that and how they were just trapped in this little bubble created by Strange and how they ended the whole thing with Strange. And that kind of leads me on to like the other stuff that I enjoyed about this episode. Like, oh man, I enjoyed re-seeing Gamora here. I thought that she was dope as this kind of Thanos-ish figure with the Thanos armor and stuff like that. I really enjoyed all of that. I really enjoyed her with Iron Man. Just the little cameo from the Guardians of the Galaxy Iron Man that we saw here. Like, if you know anything about that, there's a suit of Iron Man in the comic books to where he joins the Guardians of the Galaxy for a moment. I enjoyed seeing that suit over. And lastly, man, I really enjoyed, oh, here it is. The two ending scenes that we got. I think one was the ending of the actual show, and the other one was the end credit scene. But I enjoyed the one of of where they went with Black Widow and how they kind of took her to another universe when hers is basically destroyed and gave her some purpose somewhere else. I enjoyed that, and it actually gave her more agency than what they did in the movies. They gave her a better ending here. And like if we'd never seen Black Widow after this, I'll be cool with how they gave it here. And also how they're leading to the next season of things with Captain Carter and their version of her version of Black Widow, to where you see her where you see Black Widow tell Captain Carter that, yo, we found something and you may be interested in what it is. And it turns out to be the Hydra Stomper, and supposedly Tony's in not Tony, damn, what's the man's name? Captain America, her version of Captain America. Damn, I can't think of his name. What is Captain America's real name? Whatever his name is, her version of Captain America is inside of the armor, and he probably was stuck in there like Winter Soldier was. So yeah, I enjoyed a lot of that stuff. I enjoyed this episode a really good amount. But and to keep this from going longer, there was some things that I didn't enjoy. Number one, man, most definitely number one, the comedy in this episode. When I tell you that there was some comedy here that was just bad, and it all surrounded around one character for me, it was just too much. Thor in this episode was just bad, and I didn't enjoy him none whatsoever. He had one line to where he screamed "Viva Las Vegas" as he did an attack that I kind of chuckled at, and it was just interesting going on with what the character was and what he was doing. That it was pretty okay for me. But other than that, like everything else was just bad with him, and all the comedy that was bad virtually surrounded around Thor. And I don't know, I wasn't too much hateful of his own episode. I kind of found it just cool, stuck in its own little episode. But once you expand him a part of everybody else, I was like, yo, I'm not feeling that, and I just wasn't feeling him in that part in that episode. Another thing that I wasn't feeling was what happened to the Watcher in this episode? He was there at the beginning and he was there at the end, but he wasn't a part of the fight. He wasn't really helping him out in any real way. Like it seemed that the Watcher just disappeared for like most of the episode besides the ending and closing. And that was just real weird that like he goes from basically fighting Ultron to just, oh, I'm gonna get you guys and you do the battle. That was a little bit weird and I didn't really like that. Another thing was, dude, I really wish that instead of Thor, if you're going to get somebody that's comedic for this episode, hold on, because there it is. You could have got the Spider-Man. Like, I thought the Spider-Man they had in the zombie episode was really good. And they even brought part of the zombie episode back. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. They even brought part of the zombie episode back where Doctor Strange dumps a bunch of zombies onto Ultron, and what he's really doing is bringing in the Scarlet Witch, the zombie Scarlet Witch from that episode. And I'm like, yo, I would rather you bring that Peter Parker from that universe than the Thor that you bring it, because he's not entertaining to me. I thought the Spider-Man was way better. Or if you're going to bring in Thor, like give Spider-Man a hammer. I really don't care. Like I just didn't like the Thor in this episode. And the comedy was just not good. And like I was saying earlier, just why I brought this up, kind of went on a tangent there. I enjoyed Spider-Man in the episode. I really would have rather had Spider-Man here. And kind of the same way I would have like if you can give me Spider-Man, take away Thor, give me Spider-Man, and give me Captain Marvel. That way you have the powers that can help to defeat Ultron, and you have a comedic character in Spider-Man. Give me that instead of Thor. Take Thor out of this. That Thor is terrible. I don't like him at all. And lastly, I think my last mixed feeling here is that it's kind of a thing with all of the Marvel shows, but especially the What If series, because they seem to be shorter than the rest of the MCU TV show Disney Plus stuff. These episodes got to be longer, especially if you're going to do these type of stories. 30 minutes just isn't enough. Especially for this season finale, like give me 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes to set up some character here. 10 more minutes to really get the character to explain things to each other. 10 more minutes to just really just flesh out some more stuff. You can do your little comedic stuff with Thor or with any other character. You can do some other things that have a little fun here and there, but this show needs more time, and it messes with the pacing. Things feel like they move so quickly, and it just doesn't overall feel like it's doing the best that it can. I thought that the penultimate episode did a way better job of pacing and everything. It did a way better job of telling their story because it felt like they had enough time to slow things down. They didn't have to explain new characters. They didn't have to explain too much because you everything was already set there and just showed for you. Just okay, we got enough time just to show everything. And that episode, last episode, was way better than this one. Just not way better, but it was better than this one because they were able to pace it better. This one felt a little rushed, and it felt like it was just a little haphazardly put together. And it kind of leads me into my score. I talked about a lot about how I liked a lot of things in this episode. And just overall the series together, I liked a lot of stuff in this series. As far as this episode goes, I'm gonna go 3.75 out of 5 stars. I'm not the 4 stars that I was for last week's episode. I'm just a little bit below that. But I thought that this week's was did some really good stuff and did some really fun stuff. As far as the series altogether goes, I would say my least favorite episode is most definitely the Thor episode. Probably is my it's a mix between that one and the Killmonger episodes. Those are kind of my two least favorites. My favorite one is the penultimate where Ultron takes over. I really enjoyed the Doctor Strange episode. That's probably number 2 for me. The is uh probably the Star Lord Black Panther episode. That's probably number 2. And then the Doctor Strange episode is number 3. And to end that off, probably number 4, I really like the zombies episode. That was really fun for me. So yeah, What If altogether, I think, was a really fun series. I'm interested to see what they do for the second season. And just there's a lot to work on for that second season, a lot to kind of improve on, and there's a lot to go around with, but I'm interested to see where they go from here. This is a fun series, and probably so far it's low-key been my favorite of all of them. Part of it's still that I'm an animator and I love animation, but a lot of it is that they do so many things and they're taking so many chances with these episodes and with a lot of things they're doing here. And they're kind of filling in character things that I wanted to see in the other shows, but they're doing them here, and I really enjoyed that. So yeah, the series altogether gets a thumbs up for me, man. I enjoyed the hell out of this series, and I really enjoyed this episode through its few faults. But yeah, man, that is my final episode of What If. My final review for this one. Thank you for watching, man. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you thought of the episode. Share it if you don't mind. I really don't need you to, but share it if you're cool with that. And just thank you for just watching my content and being around. I have another video pretty soon coming up. I got another review. Probably do some more trailer watches and stuff. But thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and peace.